So hey folks, this tree here, this Quercus callagii black oak, has been trimmed and trimmed over the years away from the house. I've advised the homeowners over the years to just remove the trees because the amount of trimming I'm doing to it is actually harmful. To do that much crown reduction and take off half the crown of a tree, especially the sunny side of the tree, that's the side of the tree that's getting the south side that gets the most blasted heat in the summertime. It's just cooking the cambium layer in the summer, and all those photosynthates, all those sugars flowing up and down the outer part of the tree are just getting boiled and cooked. That's why trees grow and try to create a crown, a canopy that grows over and shades the interior of the tree. Unless they're growing it in a group, like in a forest, yeah, you'll have trees that will grow up really straight and not have very many lateral branches. But that's because they have other trees around them shading them. When a tree is fully exposed on one side, it needs to shade itself. But they want me to take all the limbs that lean towards the house on that side. I'm basically taking half the canopy off the tree. And it's highly detrimental to the tree. Well, I got that on my second shot. It was a 1 foot by 1 foot window. It was really small, and I was like just going for it, and I got it on my second shot. If I was a foot high or a foot low, it would have missed. Left or right, it would have missed.
Getting the gear out.
The thing that's crazy about this tree too is if I removed them, there's 3 of them there. If I removed them, there would still be lots of trees to look out the window because this is 10 acres and there's plenty of forest here. And these trees are just getting really pruned really severely. And I try to tell people, and I know that if I don't do it, they're just going to get someone else to come along and do it. So I'm doing it. And of course, I'm doing this all spikeless tree climbing because we're saving these trees. We're trying to save them, even though they're getting destroyed. But you can see that they're like poles, growing like a pole. People may wonder what I'm standing on. I'm just standing on twigs and stubs and little branchlets that I can put my feet on. And tied in, double safety, no worries there. I also have the great triangle going on there. The triangle for stability. My ground mount couldn't show up today, so I decided to just do this myself. I'm using this self-lowering technique. It actually has so much friction in the system I didn't even hardly feel that. I have it going through a crotch and then to a carabiner on my belt with a couple of hitches to slow it down, and it just completely stopped. That much weight I didn't even hardly feel. I feel it like about 10 pounds of force, literally 10 pounds of like dynamic force at the most. In my hand I'm holding it. There's so much friction in the system. It works great actually. I wouldn't use it for giant pieces. There's a lot of basic knowledge and information that's like embedded in your brain when you've been doing this for years. So it's not like you can just jump out and start doing this stuff safely. This is all super dangerous, this type of work. You gotta, you know, embark on this type of work with a lot of respect and patience and willingness to learn slowly. That's why I do small pieces at a time. You learn from that, you work your way up to bigger pieces. Don't go out there and say, I'm going to take that whole limb off. That's how people make those videos, idiots with chainsaws on YouTube. They're taking off a whole limb. I'm like, why didn't they take it off in like 3 or 4 sections? Why are they taking the whole thing off in one cut? Of course you're going to have disasters. I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing that move right there. You don't want to be doing that unless you've had a lot of practice. The final cut for that branch, perpendicular to the axis that the branch was growing, right up to the branch bark ridge, it's a little proud. I would rather have the stub slightly proud outside of the branch bark ridge instead of being right up on it, especially when a wound is that big. And then some people say, well, cut it more at a slight diagonal because it's growing up. The branch grew up. It didn't grow to the side as much. It came out and grew up. And by cutting it perpendicular to the axis, it makes a round, smaller wound. If I cut it diagonal to the axis, it will have a larger open wound that will take longer to compartmentalize. My ground man just showed up, so now I can speed line properly. The orange sling there is a directional for the black one. Okay, this one I messed up on. It slapped the side of the house. It was the fluffy, brushy end of the branch that hit it. It didn't do any damage to the roof at all or anything. It just swiped it. But still, what would have been better is if, instead of cutting it off completely like I did right there, is if I just saved some of the hinge wood on the lip and just let it hinge over in place, and it wouldn't have flung out. It went sailing into the air and did its rotation further away from me. If it had rotated close to me right there, it wouldn't have flung itself out so far into space, thus striking the roof. It didn't do any damage to the roof, but still the principle was wrong. I shouldn't have even touched the roof like that. Yeah, in this kind of work, you just got to be patient and go slow and not get trigger happy with the chainsaw. That's why I take smaller branches. That was a relatively light branch. People want to take giant branches, do everything in one cut. If something goes wrong and swipes the roof like that, you're going to smash the roof. But yeah, got that done. Put away my equipment. Flake my rope into my storage container. I like using those Rubbermaid storage containers. Some people might think it looks funny. I don't care. I've tried bags before. The thing I like about the storage containers is it keeps everything clean and dry. I can have a rain system come in and put the lid on and all my gear stays totally dry in there. Seems like a good system to me. Works good, keeps everything neat. I can stack them. Keep the rope loosely flaked in there. Alright, you guys, well, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care and be safe.